And now, without further ado, this is quite the pleasure for me, I get to introduce Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Donna co-founded the National Network to End Domestic Violence and served as its first executive director. She worked for years as a mentor, activist, and advocate for battered women and oppressed populations. Believe it or not, she is a rocket scientist. No, really, she is a rocket scientist. In 2008, she was sworn into Congress and has consistently been a champion for the movement to end violence against women and girls. She has long been a staunch supporter of equality and human rights. She is our dear, dear, dear friend, and we are ever grateful for her continued support. This conference is actually taking place in Representative Edwards' congressional district. It is my indeed pleasure to welcome Congresswoman Donna Edwards.
Good evening. I cannot tell you, thank you so much, Sue, and thank you, NNEDV, how excited I am to welcome you to the 4th Congressional District of Maryland, my congressional district. You know, Sue, when you were talking, and as I've been here this evening and I came into this room, I just want to share with you that about 1.5 miles from here is my house. And on the deck, about 1.5 miles from here, there are women, some of whom are in this room, Debbie Tucker, Ann Menard, and others, who are the co-founders of the NNEDV. And we thought about this idea on my deck 1.5 miles from here. We could not have imagined that we would welcome women from all over the world, advocates from all over the world, connected in our fight, our struggle to end violence against women. And so I just cannot even tell you that when 6 or 7 of us were hanging out over a bottle of wine on a deck 1.5 miles from here, that we would ever have imagined that so many of us would be gathered here this evening in my congressional district. And so I understand that you heard from President Clinton, who stopped by for a few minutes. And, I think back to the days when we were here in the United States really looking at ways that we can improve women's lives and committed in our goal to make sure that women could live in safety in their own homes and in our communities. And when President Clinton signed into law the Violence Against Women Act of 1994, we could only have imagined that we would then begin to connect with women all over the world who were doing the same thing, trying to improve the lives of women, trying to ensure that women can live in safety. And so I look here and I'm almost brought to tears because it's such a delight. And now that I've been a member of Congress and I've had the great privilege not just of traveling all across this country, but all around the world and sharing with my women friends in Cuba and throughout Central and South America and throughout the Middle East and Middle Asia and Europe, and sharing with women every step along the way, and with powerful advocates who really understand that when we are safe in our homes and in our communities, when we don't have to live with an experience of violence, that we can achieve greatness in education, we can build businesses, we can build communities, and we can build countries. And that's the work that we do. over the last 4 years that I've been in Congress, I've had the opportunity to travel even to Afghanistan. And every time I have, whenever I go anywhere, I always try to meet with women and others who are advocates against violence. And in Afghanistan, I have the great privilege of co-chairing a committee with a Republican colleague of mine, Kathy McMorris Rogers from Washington. And we co-chair our task force in the Congress of women who are committed to ensuring that women in Afghanistan, given the United States and other people's commitment to Afghanistan, that women in Afghanistan can enjoy the great privileges of safety and security and a future for themselves and their children. And I think as I look on this room here, what I see is women all across the world, and we are united. And we're united in a way, Sue, else that I cannot imagine we ever would have been before, but for your leadership. And I tell you, where's my friend from Nepal? I want to come to the World Conference in Nepal. And so I welcome your advocacy. Thank you so much. And I'm going to close by just sharing with you that here in the United States, I mean, we do our things kind of one way, but we also know that for women here and around the world that it is not the only way. And that we know that in each country that every woman should be able to choose for herself and the women of her country what her aspirations are, how they choose to fight violence, ways in which they identify for themselves the most secure way that women can live in their homes, in their communities, in their countries. And when we do that, our power is so tremendous. And I look across the world and I think, wow, with the power of women, we can do so much. But the bottom line is that in order to achieve that, we have to be safe, we have to be secure, and we must live without violence. And so, Sue, thank you so much for your leadership. Bandetta, thank you so much for yours. I will see you in Nepal.